First Down Sports. I'm your host, Ray Dunn. Sitting with me down at the end of the table is my brother, Chris Dunn.
How's it going?
Also sitting beside me here.
Still a cold.
Also sitting beside me
3
here.
weeks and going.
We haven't had a week yet where he doesn't have a cold. All right. Also beside me here, Andy Jardine.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's going on, Andy?
Yeah, not much.
Back of the room, and I have to call him Nick Dunn this week, folks, because we had a little mishap on our Canadian show. Welcome back, Nick.
Hey guys.
Hey.
It's going, Nick.
Good. How are you, Andy?
Oh, we'll give you a little moment here. Go ahead.
What did you do over the weekend?
It was
Do some catching up.
it was magical.
It's magical. Let's talk about our sponsors here. We got Moose Light. If you need a beer any night of the week, make sure you go get yourself Moose Light. This stuff is scary good. Mm-hmm. If you need pens, hats, shirts, jackets, you know the drill. Go see our buddies, the Doyles. Doyle's Corporate Image.
The Doyle's rule.
And of course, my real buddy that I need to talk about right now is Robert Luongo. His chain of grocery stores are taking off like crazy.
Vegetables galore. It's like amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You can
But-
find it on the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies.
All right. No, I told Nick I wouldn't talk about Luongos anymore, but that I could still be he could still be my buddy. But if your kitchen sucks, and you know most likely it does, make sure you go get yourself some Done Right sauce.
Burn your belly.
Where can you find that stuff, Andy?
You can find that at Sobeys. You can find that at Jacobson's in Ottawa,
Yeah.
and you can find that at Longo's.
Longos.
Oh, that's what it is.
Longos. Longos.
That's in Toronto and various Ontario regions.
All right, so that's our sponsors. Once again, we couldn't be doing any of this without our sponsors. But
No, how would we manage?
how would we manage? How would we manage? I mean, we were promised 100 bottles from Done Right Sauce, and I think we've only gotten about 6 so far. So
Yeah. We got these pens though.
yeah, we got these pens. Anybody need a goddamn pen? Oh no, you can't have these pens.
No.
You can't have these pens. You got to go to Doyle's for your pens. Go
That's
to Doyle's
right.
for your pens.
But it's not even called the right thing anymore. Done right buffalo sauce.
These are obsolete, these stupid
Yeah,
pens.
yeah, what's going?
Dumb pens.
Wait, I need a pen.
Wow.
Good thing we have about 150 of them.
Wait, I need a pen. Oh, this one says the same thing.
Give me another one.
Actually, the clicker's not even broken on this one, so
All right.
upgrade. All right, let's do this.
We got lots of topics this week, boys. We're gonna talk about some NFL game reviews. We're gonna talk about the the shape of the NFL. We're gonna do some odds and ends. We're gonna do our mid-season predictions after our horrendous first week predictions. We're gonna do some locks and upsets and give you our final thoughts. So let's start right off with our game reviews. Chris, on Thursday night last week, we were both smiling like little kids last week, sitting at this table.
The schoolgirls.
Yeah.
And, Benjamin had just been signed by the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I
believe it was all about the Benjamin.
It was all about the Benjamin.
Yeah.
The Jets rolled the Bills 34-21. This score looks closer than it was. It wasn't even close. Where did this Bills team come from, and why was Benjamin on the bench? Chris, you're up.
We had a lot of turnovers not go our way. Past games, we did. This game, we didn't capitalize on it. Simple, easy. Also, we had a big target in game 1 against the Jets with Clay. Clay was missing, and that was a big target to not have in this game. The Jets are not a joke. The Jets the defense is a good D.
Yeah.
And our offensive line was the joke.
Dominated.
I remember you saying that during the game, and I just want to address that one thing though. Like, yeah, your offensive line wasn't wonderful. They weren't doing a great job in the run blocking scheme, but almost every sack I saw Tyrod Taylor take was on Tyrod Taylor. I'm sorry. The guy holds the ball way too long, and then when the pocket starts to collapse on him, you have no idea which way he's going to go. So your offensive line creates a pocket, and he's running into sacks.
I kind of get that, but the Jets did something very smart. They lined up 7 guys across the defensive line.
5.
What's that?
It was 5. They did a 5-man rush.
Yeah, I
did
know,
it effective.
but they were lining up 7 across, and
They
they
had the
would bring
safety or
5
linebackers
Yeah,
in real tight,
they were all
right?
up tight to line of scrimmage, and only 5 were coming.
Yeah.
but they didn't know where they were coming from.
Yeah.
and a couple times. The defensive tackles, they were coming straight through. I mean, nobody was
Yeah,
touching a
the
defensive
inside was
tackle.
opening up,
And Tyrod was dead within seconds. On those plays, he had no chance. But
Fair enough. But there were some where he had a lot
I
of
do
chances.
get what you're saying.
They
he-
reminded me of the Browns more than any team I've ever seen in my entire life. Not just that. I mean, holding the ball too long and getting sacked, there was that. Everything that possibly could go wrong, going wrong, there was that. I mean, right from the first offensive play, they lose like 14 yards. So I'm like, oh, there's the Browns for you. And then, again, you were right, Chris. Like, the Bills had a lot of good luck the entire year.
Yep.
And it just seemed like every bad bounce that they didn't get every week previous, they got it all in one game.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was over multiple times, but the real gut puncher was you're a guy that made that reception way down the field, didn't get touched,
And then drops
got
it.
back up, and
Nick
then fumbles,
O'Leary.
Nick
Yeah.
O'Leary.
and
yeah.
then fumbles. So
Well, I liked Romo's take on it is that the Buffalo Bills are not a team built to come back like a Brady, like a Rodgers.
Right.
If they
Can't
go
play
down
from behind.
No, if you get that big of a behind in a game, they're not built like Tyrod's not that guy that's gonna. Okay, put it on my back and then put it on my shoulders. I'm taking the ball. No.
Yeah.
Here's the one interesting thing out of this game, though. This Deontay Thompson, who they just signed 2 weeks ago, he's now had a week and a half of practices with the Bills. He was the leading receiver with 7 catches and 81 yards and a touchdown.
I like him.
This kid's good. I say when Benjamin's on the field, keep this guy at wideout. He can stretch the field.
Well, I think you're going to see that in slot in the slot. Not to talk too much Bills. We've kind of already broke down too much.
that's okay.
More than what we thought, but I think you're going to see Jones. Wait, jeez.
Zay Jones.
Yeah, Jay Jones, and him splitting at the slot.
Okay.
And Jones caught his first touchdown of the year.
Yes, he
in that
did
game,
catch
too.
his
It was a really nice route and everything. It was
He had
good.
a good game.
Oh, he had a great
the
game.
game started off well for the Bills. It just fell apart very quickly.
Yeah.
Fumbles at key times.
Yeah. The Rams roll the Giants 51-17.
Speaking of Bills receivers.
Okay.
Whoa!
Whoa.
They went off.
All right. First of all, we've been talking about LA all year. Okay. This team is unbelievable. Gurley looks fantastic. But Eli Manning, should the Giants finally move on from Eli Manning? Is Eli Manning done? Is there a team that he would even fit into? What's going on with Eli Manning?
I'll start with this. So, they shouldn't move on from him, but they're going to have an incredibly high pick in this draft, and they should invest that first pick in a quarterback. Like they need to heavily invest in his successor.
Yep.
And then if you keep him around for another year, then that guy doesn't have to play right away. So I don't think that they should move on from Eli. I mean, let's not forget about everything he's done for the Giants. I mean, to see him play for another team would just be painful, for everybody involved. So, but that being said, though, there's no taking a flyer like that kid they got from Cal or whatever. I can't even think of his name right now. There's no taking flyers now. They're going to have a super high pick. It's supposed to be a good quarterback class. You take a quarterback this year. You got to find a successor.
No, I agree 100%. Why would you want to put a young kid at the helm of this team that's going through this?
When Eli Manning can't even do anything with the team, we all know Eli Manning's not Peyton Manning, but man, I mean, if he can't do anything, no rookie's going to do. Like that would be like putting a rookie on the Browns.
That's right.
And I can tell you how that goes.
And look, like next year, it's not like they're not going to have like some talent. Like OBJ is going to be coming back.
Yeah.
Beckham's coming back. I don't know if Marshall, but they may be able to dip into the free agent pool, get
they have
another
talent.
receiver in there. Like they could turn this back around next year. Their defense isn't bad.
Yeah.
So I think, and then they plus on a high end, like maybe a second round, they need a running back. Their running back is atrocious over there.
Yeah.
You get a good second round running back and you complement it with a good free agent receiver, and the Giants are relevant again.
Yeah, and you invest. It's time to invest heavy because they're, if they get all their talent back next year, they're not going to be bad. Like they're not going to be bad enough to get a high pick. You have to capitalize on these quarterbacks this year and get a good one.
But with so many, if they have a shot, what's the young kid that the running back coming out of the
the guy out of Penn State or Penn or whatever.
like
I
if
can't
you-
think of his name.
Like
but
if you had like something like that with Eli, with Beckham back,
yeah.
and then you like, is it a time to really retool for that, or do they? Hey, how many more years do they got Eli? Before he's done. It's
gonna be a tough call.
I think 3 years he can still get him. No,
I mean, they're not going to have the number one pick, by the way, but like
No.
either way, I mean, I think if there's a quarterback sitting there and that Barkley kid is not sitting there
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them, you got a tough call to make. But it's time to invest in the future in this team. Like, my goodness.
Not to go on about the Rams again, but Robert Woods did have a career day here. 4
Oh my
catches,
goodness,
70
they were-
yards, 2
Dude was on fire.
touchdowns. Sammy Watkins,
Watkins
one,
had a touchdown,
one
too.
catch, 67 yards, touchdown. The Bills receivers played well for the Rams.
To say the least. Yeah.
I always laughed at that contract that kid got, but geez,
Robert
he's
Woods.
earned it.
It
He's
was a
earned
good
it.
contract, though.
Yep.
Denver goes into Philadelphia, and Denver's defense. Let's talk about Denver's defense for a second here. In games this year that I still find very surprising, the Chargers beat Denver last week 21-0. The Giants beat them 21-10. Buffalo beat them 26-10 or 16, and now Philadelphia rolls Denver 51-23.
Yeah.
What is going on with Denver's defense, which is picked by most experts as the number one defense in the NFL?
I'll feel that one. So I don't really necessarily think it's all about the Denver defense. I think it's more about field, like where they're starting field possession, like where they're starting off. They're really put in bad situations, and you can't have your defense. There's an amount of that your defense can do to win you a game, but when you're starting off where you start off on the field, man, that's a rough go. It's a rough go, and then that starts momentum. And then as they start building up points here and there, field goal, maybe a touchdown, random touchdown because of bad field position, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, they can't stay off the field, right? Is really all it is, and they're not quite as good as they used to be. They're not quite as young as they used to be. They're not the Baltimore team that won the Super Bowl by any stretch, and they're not even as good as the team, as good as the defense that did win the Super Bowl in Seattle. They're close, but if you leave a defense on the field that long, eventually, they're going to wear down. So
Well,
I think it's that, but they're just not as good.
Their offense is horrible.
In
atrocious.
in the first 4 weeks of the season, this team went 3-1. They'd knocked off Charger, Dallas, Oakland. Those are 3 teams, playoff teams, right?
This whole year is crazy. Like, they had that shootout win against the Texans, and everybody's thinking, okay, the real Seattle Seahawks offense is back. And then they do this, and then you see what the Bills did, and it goes on. The whole NFL this year is like a big shit sandwich. Like
Oh, sorry, man.
there's like whatever. It's like there's the top, there's the absolute bottom, and everything in the middle is just mush, and it could be anything. You have no idea what it's going to be from week to week. It's just a big pile of mush, and I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Wow.
It
Week
is.
to week. Yeah.
This has been one of the hardest to predict. I look at some of the games before we started this, and geez, you know what? It's hard to pick an upset because there's a lot of teams can go a lot of different ways.
The moment you think a team's got it back on track, they don't.
Yep.
Well, before I even tell you about something here, first of all, I got to tell you the next game up for Denver, they're home against the Patriots.
Patriots.
Doesn't
Yep.
get much easier for them.
No.
But do you see the carousel that they have going on with the quarterback there?
Oh, yeah.
Brock
Like,
Osweiler comes in.
Brock coming
plays
in
like Brock.
Did you really think Brock was going to do anything really anything special?
The big story here is how much credit John Elway's gotten, but really he hasn't been that good. He managed to lure Peyton Manning there to win a Super Bowl, and after that, look at the quarterbacks he's brought in. Paxton Lynch, their first round quarterback, isn't good enough to start yet, and it's like year 3, so they're starting Brock Osweiler, who's a joke, and it's terrible. Like John Elway is not as good of a GM as everybody thinks.
They do have Chad Kelly on injured reserve, so there's always a chance there.
I was just gonna say. What do you?
I think he's
Chad do it?
I think he's practicing now, Ray.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's
Okay.
practicing. Yeah.
Okay.
Our buddy Jeff McRae saying that's going to be one of the steals of the quarterbacks this year, and to keep an eye on. And I was like, you
my
got to
gosh.
talk to Ray because Ray's going to love you for
Jeff
saying that.
McRae. Jeff McRae must be really bored right now. He must be a Dolphins fan or something. I don't know.
In a
0 wins in our fantasy.
in a real entertaining game,
Oh, no, 1.
Dallas Cowboys beats the Kansas City Chiefs 28-17. Now, Dallas was playing like a team that's in the playoffs today. They were sound on both sides of the ball, plus special teams. But we don't know 100% sure what's going to happen with Elliott.
No.
Can Dallas sustain what they played like this weekend without Elliott on that roster?
They can't sustain that week to week with him on the roster. They're another one of those mush teams where you don't know what you're going to get week to week. So I'm going to say no. I mean, the guy's the heart and soul of every team or every win they get. And I think he's already past the point of no return where he can't take the suspension and be back for the playoffs, right?
Yeah, that's it. I say yes. I say they can. Ooh,
wow.
Uh-oh, some fire here. No, I think I like Morris back there. I think McFadden, I don't have a lot of faith in him, but that offensive line can move people. And I really have faith in Dak. I think he's a like I just see him getting better and better. At first I thought, there were signs in the beginning of the year that he didn't look as crisp, but almost like that he was like the sophomore jinx. Is it going to be, a rough road? But he just keeps getting better and better. And it's not like he's relying heavily on Dez. He's moving the ball around. It's not one particular. He's doing a good job. I think they definitely can.
Did you see I don't know if you guys saw the game, but Tony Romo made a slight comment. It slighted Deion Sanders a little bit.
Oh, man.
Oh, what did he say?
I loved it, and
What did he say? I missed that.
Sanders went off the rails.
Deion Sanders is such a punk.
Yeah.
And I don't like him at all. And
he made a comment about there's a guy on the Dallas team that let a tackle go right by him. Like he could have gotten in on a play. Like he could have gotten in to tackle this guy, and the guy got right around. And he made a comment something like,
he avoids contact like 21.
He said even Deion Sanders would have hit more than he did, right? And Deion Sanders went through the roof saying, how many Super Bowls have you won, Romo? Dak Prescott stole your starting job. Nobody ever stole my starting job. It was
he
on
went
Twitter
right
last
below
night.
the
It
belt.
went way.
That was last night. That's why. Okay.
It was all last night.
He went on a total rant on NFL.com or on Network.
On Network,
and
yeah.
a total, it was childish. It was really bad. But that's Deion Sanders.
He's an idiot.
He is an idiot.
He is an idiot, but I'll tell you, one of the most talented players I've ever seen.
Fair enough.
And you know what? Generally, other than this, I'm surprised he went down that hole. I kind of like that. Like he usually brings some positivity. I see he's always doing camps with the young corners, which I always liked.
Yeah.
But yeah. What?
I did not mean to hit that.
Obviously,
Does it ever end?
Obviously, not a Sanders fan over there. Yeah. Anyways,
I hate him.
yeah.
So let's end it at that.
Let's end it at that.
But Romo, it was one last thing. But Romo is one of the most insightful commentators that I've heard, and so I think he could just like the real big comeback on that is I've been here in 1 year, and I'm more entertaining on this side of the ball.
I'm the number one newscast or play-by-play, but for
Easily.
CBS.
By lengths and jumps.
How are you doing, Sanders?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
He's doing quite well. He's been on NFL Network forever, but yeah.
All right.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Now, I want to tell you guys, Chris talked about how hard it is to pick winners these days. Yeah. So Jeannie and I have been getting our weekly Pro Line tickets every week. And I went and put $10 on a Pro Line ticket this week. And I went down to cash my winner today.
Really?
Guess what my winnings were? $36.
All right. Hey, your referee number.
Hey, there you go. There you go. $36.
Were you setting me up for that?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
But I took some real
See, I'm paying
some real
attention.
doozies.
I'm paying attention.
Real doozies.
All
Nice.
right.
Let's get into some NFL talk, all right?
Because we weren't just talking NFL.
Yeah.
No. But I really want to talk about the shape of the NFL.
Okay.
So last night when I was preparing for this show, and I saw, when Deshaun Watson went down, I was like, boy, there's been a lot of guys hurt this year. So I went through the list of injuries across the NFL right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I reviewed them with Andy prior to the show. There are currently 19 bona fide superstars that are on injured reserve right now in the NFL.
Yeah, superstars to stars. Yeah, like very high impact, big.
Very
name
high
players.
impact.
Yeah,
And I'm just wondering, like, and the NFL hasn't made any mentions lately yet this year about their actual TV ratings. I did see Papa John's came out and made a big statement last week that their dollars are down.
yeah. And Pizza Hut capitalized on that. by
Yeah,
saying-
they did. Yeah. But with all these injuries that have taken place this year, and I want to dig into that a little bit in a few seconds, with the whole taking a knee, the Donald Trump, the Kaepernick thing. What kind of shape is the NFL in right now? They've always been the number one sport for a long time as far as the
Still
draw
are.
goes.
Yeah.
But does Major League Baseball or the NBA, does any of these other leagues have a chance to capture a big piece of that market with the shape of the NFL?
No.
No?
Nope. Anyways, okay, next topic.
I mean, they're gaining a bit of ground because the NFL is having a down year, but they're still blowing all the other sports completely out of the water.
Massively.
And it is a bad year though. Like, I mean, there's a lot of negative things happening in the league, and it's just one of those years where like the injuries are running wild, like beyond anything else. And I mean, you know, it'd be like, oh my gosh, it'd be a pretty stupid joke to say like all that kneeling's making people's knees a little too weak, and then we got all those ACLs getting torn and everything like that.
That joke was a real sinker.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, move on, quick.
But I think it's a rough year. They'll get past it. But the Thursday night game, I think they were given the stats or something like one of the crappiest Thursday night games you could possibly think of. Outdrew the World Series playoff game by like 4 times.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not. They're fine.
All right,
You
so
know,
let's
do you
can we?
mind if I
Sorry,
just comment
yeah, go ahead.
real quick on that. You know, my friends and I used to comment on this of why football is always going to be the sport. You don't have to invest as a sports fan as much time as you do in any other sports.
You wait all week for that one game.
That's it, and that's why they'll
That's true.
always win. They'll always win.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the players then. Because if you go back to like the 90s, right? I mean, players would go out once in a while, concussions or whatever, but we never saw players go out like this. And I would easily say the game is faster today than it was back then. But at the same token, I think it's easy to say players are in much better shape today than they were 20 years ago. Why are these athletes that are so finely tuned? I mean, they're watching their diets, everything about these athletes are so finely tuned. How is it their bodies could be breaking down in this kind of capacity in 2017?
I think one of the major reasons are that concussions are being more identified.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that being handled a lot better than what they did in the past.
Yeah.
Because that was not the case.
Well, I get that, but when you go through some of this list,
Yeah.
a lot of it is not concussion related. It's ACL related, MCL related.
But it kind of goes along with that, though, is that with now the target of you can't hit to the head,
You have to go low.
you
Yeah.
got to go low.
No, but you're right though, right? Like, and that's a good point, Chris, and that's where I was going to go with it. Like, number one, everything is so strict now, especially with concussions. Where back in the day, when you say you saw guys go out with a concussion from time to time, yeah, but there were probably 10 guys per game that had a concussion,
That's
right?
right.
And there was just nothing being done about it. But now with all the rules being alternated to protect against that, you know, guys got to go low, and everyone's going for the knees. Like the Odell Beckham injury, I mean, where else were you going to hit him there? Because of
That's right.
the defenseless receiver and the helmet-to-helmet thing. What do you got on your mind? Like, do you have another?
No, nothing.
Yeah,
No, here we go.
do you have another sinker to throw at us here?
No,
Another
no.
one.
Yeah. So no, but like, you know, but you are right though, Ray, that some of these were just freak occurrences that weren't even hit induced. Like Joe Thomas has never missed a snap in his entire career, and he tears his tricep on a block. How does that happen? Like,
Andy, we just got to 20 because he wasn't on my list.
Really?
How's he not on my list?
Well, I thought I just took for granted he was there.
yeah,
When I was reviewing
I
it.
don't have Joe Thomas, so we are now at 20 bona fide superstars
First ballot Hall of Fame
Out.
left tackle. Yeah.
out. Very crazy. It's a crazy year.
But
There's,
you have Ryan Tannehill on this list.
well, he is a starting quarterback in the NFL.
You used the word superstar a little while ago, and I poured some
Bonafide.
water on
Yeah.
that. So glad I did.
Listen, All right, let's.
down to 19.
I think we've tackled
The
that
least
enough. Now,
credible list I've seen in a while.
I will
think.
tell you this. I just saw some breaking news. Deshaun Watson's out, so there's been talk. You've even heard talks
Kaepernick.
about the Kaepernick.
Yeah.
The Texans have signed a quarterback, and they've signed a kid by the name of Josh Johnson.
Oh, the well-traveled Josh Johnson.
The well-traveled Josh Johnson.
I have a funny story about him in a second.
Let's talk about it.
Well, the funny story is, no player has played with more quarterbacks than Browns left tackle Joe Thomas, right?
Yeah.
In his entire career, there's been 190 starters, not quite, but anyways, he was in a recent interview or whatever. They asked him to name all of those starting quarterbacks, and he told a story where one of the starting quarterbacks that I played with, or one of the quarterbacks, not starting, that I played with, I met him for the first time in the huddle. In the huddle, I introduced myself and we shook hands, and that was Josh Johnson.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and pathetic.
Well,
yeah.
Josh
Guarantee the guy's going to be a bust now.
Josh Johnson has not attempted a pass in the NFL since 2011. Yet the Texans thought this was a better way to go than trying Kaepernick.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
get that.
they also picked up another guy. I think this is their second pickup in a short period of time. I think they got, I can't remember the guy's name, but another sort of journeyman.
Okay.
But yeah, it really comes down to it, Ray, that they'd rather start Savage than start Kaepernick. And if you bring Kaepernick in, you're bringing him in to start. And
TJ Yates. Is that right? Yeah, TJ Yates.
And
was
nobody
in it.
wants to do that. So I don't, it is pretty bad. But again, didn't we say it 2 weeks ago? He sealed his deal when he filed that grievance or whatever, that legal thing.
I thought it right away as soon as I saw, who they were picking up. I was like, this is, I know we were going to talk about it. I thought we were going to talk about it, but this is one of the biggest shots now. Because I think he could actually come in, Capper, and maybe be a positive. I think
no
what
question.
else they got?
He could get him to the playoffs.
Yeah, he can at least move around, but he's been out of the game now for a little bit.
He's been out of the game, and he hasn't been with his team, and this team doesn't run an offense that would be, again, it would take him some time to adjust.
They
You
do.
don't
Look
just-
at how Deshaun Watson, he's all over the field making
but why
plays
not?
happen.
But why not?
Yeah,
but
but
why
that's,
not bring
it's
him in?
more complex than that. So
Right, but why not bring? If you bring him in, takes a few games to custom, even for next year, he signs for maybe a lesser amount. Then you got him. If Watson's leg acts up, then you got a veteran back there.
I'll tell you why not, and correct me if I'm
Shoot.
wrong, but I think it was the Texans owner who actually made the comment that he later apologized for when he said you can't let the inmates run the prison.
Yeah.
That was that idiot that said that. So there's no way they're going to be the team that signs him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point.
All right, let's move over to some odds and ends where we talk about a number of different topics. And the first one I want to talk about is still NFL related, but this was absolutely bizarre in my mind. Did anybody see Jameson Winston's pregame
Genius.
chant
Yep.
with his team? What did you think of that?
That was one of the more odd things I've seen.
The W.
Yeah. Did you see it, Chris?
I missed that one, guys.
He, I think, momentarily lost his mind. And they caught it on camera, and it was one of the strangest things I've seen.
Did you see his
He's-
teammates? They're all like, what is he doing?
Basically, he was trying to pump them up. So he started making the W West Coast sign, which I can barely do or whatever. And then he starts going, who wants to eat some W's tonight? And
Yeah.
starts pretending like he's eating. And nobody knew what to do. They were all going, yeah, Jameis.
W's.
I don't want to eat it.
And then he goes out and plays one of the worst
know.
games and gets ejected and everything. But that was weird.
It was really weird. Really weird. And then later
there
in
was
the
some
game,
substances in his system, I think,
Well,
before the game.
he got tackled, and he came. For weeks now they've been talking about his sore shoulder, and he got hammered in the backfield, and he was taken out of the game at that point. So now he's walking along the sideline during the game, and at the end of the play, he comes out onto the sideline like he's pointing at something, and what happens is one of the players walks right by him and he pokes his hand right into the guy's face, but at the same time he's making it look like he was pointing at something else.
Yeah.
And a big scrum starts out, and that's when Mike Evans comes in and nails the guy that goes after Winston.
And did you?
Latimer.
And now he's suspended.
Yeah, did you watch that too? Like, you could tell Mike Evans just wanted to go to the locker room. Like, you could tell he's like, this is the worst game ever. I want to get on a plane and leave. I am going to go full on like Eddie Guerrero on this guy and get kicked out of the game. And he was, and you look at his face, he was just as shocked as anyone else that all he got was a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's suspended for a game. But he wanted out of the game. Like, he
Oh my God! It was
done. Yeah,
it was
done.
bad. That Winston. I don't know what he was on pre-game, but if there's somebody that needs to pee in a cup, it's probably him.
Like, if I was his coaches, I would arrange for a rather random drug test.
Exactly.
I need my quarterback suspended.
Something's going on here. Like, yeah.
All right. Another thing I want to bring up in the NFL, because this is new this year, they got rid of the no fun rule in the NFL, where they're now allowing guys to do celebrations in the end zone, and a lot of these are team collaborated. You could see the offensive line.
Let them have fun.
What do you
It's
guys think of all these celebrations? Are they over the top? Do you like it?
Love it.
Dislike?
I've got it figured out. I think everybody's going, I'm not sure if I like it or not. I have it figured out. I love them unless it's the opposing team doing it to the Browns. Then I hate it.
Then I hate
The only exception to that is Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I hate it when he does it all the time.
He's such a meathead.
All the time. Yeah.
Again, we were talking pre-show about his post-game interview again this week.
Did you hear it?
Oh
He
my
goes-
God! It's
They
so
asked him
bad.
they asked him to comment on losing Benjamin or the Benjamin trade, and he goes, "Yeah, we lost a great player, but in the end, the Titanic must go on." So we were saying, do you think that was a calculated statement, or do you think he just couldn't make it all the way through the movie because it was 3 hours long and just kind of shut?
Yeah, he didn't realize what happens.
No, he shut it off when they were in the car scene.
Like, you look at this guy. You go back to when they went to the Super Bowl, when they lost to Denver in the Super Bowl. This guy, he was a dominant player in the NFL. He had so much respect. And then ever since that post-game interview after that Super Bowl, his post-game interviews have just gone...
Next question. I'm leaving.
Exactly. But the Titanic must go on.
Did you see him, though, in that game when there was like 4th and inches? And the coach, they call him conservative... the Panthers coach.
Ron
Well,
Rivera.
they call him Riverboat Ron,
Yeah,
not
that's
conservative.
so-
He's like the opposite of
Yeah.
conservative. Yeah.
But he basically said, "No, bring it in, stop." And you see him going nuts. The quarterback, Newton, just going crazy.
Because he wanted to go for it, and Riverboat Ron said no.
just losing it.
Yeah.
And it's just I just don't think he has it in check. And I think that's what's going wrong with Newton is like he just can't keep it together.
Well, ever since he lost that yogurt sponsorship, I think his calcium's low.
Nice.
Not working out for him, I guess.
I'm going to write that one.
Let's go talk to some of our Ottawa fans, because we've got a lot of Ottawa listeners. Ottawa made a big trade this week. What do you guys think of this trade? Nick, why don't we hear from you? Do you like or dislike this trade that Ottawa made for Matt Duchene, for Kyle Terrace, and a bunch of other players?
I think it's pretty even, really.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see Duchene making a big difference. Turris he was a good player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Duchene's going to bring offense with him.
Yeah, did he bring offense to Colorado?
No.
No. What do you guys
There
think?
wasn't a big change there.
I am going to pass to Chris.
Honestly,
I think this is it seems like there's much more there than there is. I think it's just going to be, it is
brings
what
a
it is.
different style. It brings
Yeah.
more of a talented guy coming in. But I think Turris was more of a grinder and
Brought some
I
more
don't know.
elements. But here's the thing. Like, we don't know who he's going to have chemistry with.
yeah.
It could be a big one where, hey, now there's some chemistry up front. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
And that's what could happen. And I think that's what Ottawa's banking on.
I'm surprised that they didn't really give up too much other than that, though. Like, I thought Shabbat would have been in that deal. I thought that they would want Shabbat.
Yeah, yeah.
Shabbat.
That's one of the better names.
Well, here's the funny thing. At the end of next season, Duchesne's going to be a free agent
Yeah.
along with Carlson. So if Ottawa's given up this much talent, you've got to try to resign both those guys now, and
That's big-
both those
big
guys
money.
are going to be requiring both money. Like, I don't know if they can afford to sign both guys. It's going to be interesting.
We'll see.
Ottawa still have enough.
Carlson's definitely around a $10 million player, that
on.
guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Care.
All right,
Dion Phaneuf.
now we've got our next
bodied like a trout.
like or dislike. Last night I was texting the boys, what the odds and ends subjects were going to be, and I have a new phone and it's got autocorrect on it, and
There we
I
go.
sent out a message saying, "Hey boys, one of the topics we're going to talk about is your GPS."
GPS wins the middleweight
yes.
title.
So, yeah, let's get our phones out. My
G-
my
GPS.
GPS works really good.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Andy made a message, so I caught it, I fixed it up, sent it back, and then it came up as GAP.
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 Yep.
And finally, after going G space or G return, S return, I finally got GSP. So GSP comes back after being out of fighting, retired for 4 years, but he's been training all this time. He goes up a weight class.
Yeah.
And comes out as the middleweight champion. What do you guys think about this?
It's pretty exciting, but I was, you guys know Joe Rogan, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, because he's big in UFC. Well, he also has a podcast, and he had another one of his UFC buddies on, and they were talking about it, and they both said, you know, it was very impressive. GSP looked amazing, but he looked heavy.
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
said he looks Milky Way heavy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're saying, like, they think that George went up that weight class to fight that guy because he needed to make a splash coming back in, and that was a fight he could win.
Yeah.
But they said they both agreed that they can't see George ever defending this title. He'll be dropping back down to 175.
Makes sense.
And eventually there's going to be a big fight, and they were both just salivating over the idea of him and McGregor meeting halfway
Oh, yeah.
and fighting. But so really good. He won the title. I hate this whole title thing in the UFC, and like you win it at a different weight class and then you're never going to defend it. I think it's stupid, but very impressive. But I think his fight was very calculated, and going up a weight class was just so he could fight that guy. He made the entrance he wanted to. They say, anyway, we'll see, but Joe Rogan knows a lot, that he'll never fight at that weight again.
Well, it's
I think great point. I do like in the fight, the very end. What an exciting finish.
Oh, yeah. Because he was bleeding like crazy, because every time he tried to take the guy down, that guy was doing all kinds of damage to him, like while he was down, and then he got that choke. And
That whole card
But you know what's
was awesome.
But you know
Yeah.
what's smart about it? Like
a lot of belt changes.
if
Every belt change.
like if that was Nick Diaz, after he knocked oh my gosh.
McGregor?
No, those the two fighters in the thing right now, GSP and
The guy that GSP just fought?
yeah.
I can't think of his name. What is his name?
Oh my gosh! I swear to God.
All right.
Anyways,
Anyways.
let's
Wait,
keep
no,
going.
hold on.
Keep
But-
going.
But
keep
finish
Bisping.
Bisping. There you go.
Bisping.
Finish the story.
Yeah, so Bisping goes down. He starts unloading on, and he could just like those elbows just rain down. And if it was anyone else, they would have just kept on. Especially next a guy like Nick Diaz, Bisping would have been in serious damage. But GSP, just smart. Where he's down, he can't defend the back. I'm going to take the back. It's not an ego move. An ego move would be keep pounding him, make him bloody, knock this guy out. No, he can't defend the back. Take it. Chest.
Yeah.
Chest. Great
Awesome.
move.
This is chess, not checkers.
Well, I had one more fight I wanted to talk about before we got out of, before we move on from odds and ends, but we're gonna have to cut it.
It was you versus Chris 3 weeks ago?
No, it was the Toronto FC locker room fight that took place. But this is soccer, and we're a football program, so
Yeah, soccer
sorry.
just comes in if we're
Football.
desperate.
Sorry,
football.
soccer.
It's football.
Sorry.
O'Malley would be upset about that.
Well,
football.
over there for sure, it's football, but here it's soccer. Sorry, soccer.
Sorry, O'Malley.
All right, let's move on to. I want to talk at the beginning of the year. We made some preseason predictions.
Yep.
And I might have been off on a couple of my predictions.
Oh, you certainly were.
I had Green Bay to win the Super Bowl while Aaron Rodgers gone for the year.
Can't fault you for that one. They were on
Right?
pace.
They were on
Yeah.
pace. I had KC to go the season 2-14.
Yeah, me too.
I
Me
really
too.
I really messed up that one.
Me too.
I had the Cleveland Browns to win 6 games, and I also had the Buffalo Bills to win 10. I think the Bills is the only one I'm close to even achieving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I said you had no chance at the Browns record right there, and you definitely don't now.
I definitely don't know. All right, so I'm gonna want to change my preseason predictions. What about you guys? You want to? Andy, why don't you talk about yours
Well,
first?
my 2 predictions, and I think I was the only one that went super bold, but my 2 predictions were, the first one was that the Jets would not be picking in the top 2 in the draft, and not because they traded the pick away, because they won too many games. Well, at 4 victories, I think I've got that almost locked up. No team with 4 victories has ever picked first or second in the draft, so I pretty much nailed that one. My other Super Bowl prediction was that both in the NFC and the AFC, there would be a division that would send 3 teams to the playoffs. So that's not looking good, and we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. So, Chris, do you remember what your preseason predictions were?
I believe it was Green Bay and New England. I believe
In the Super
so.
Bowl, okay.
Yeah, that's what. But I would say now I'm going Philadelphia and the Pats.
Okay, Philadelphia and the Pats. Who do you got in the Super Bowl, Andy, at this point in the season?
I think Philly's a pretty interesting pick. I'm gonna go Rams. No, I'm kidding. No, I think I got to go Philly right now too.
Wow.
And in the AFC, it's hard not to go with the Pats.
Yeah.
I still think
Buffalo.
no. Let's just put it this way. I think the Chiefs are going to disappoint in the playoffs again.
Okay,
They're
well,
going to get there though.
What I'm going to do, and I can't believe you almost said the Rams, but to make it up to my Kansas City listeners that I hurt so much in week 1,
Yep.
I'm going to go Kansas City versus the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Rams.
That would be a shocker.
Yeah.
I would love that. Be a shocker.
Oh, Rams would be great.
Well, Chiefs too. I'd love to see the Chiefs in the
I think we're going to see the Bills in the Super Bowl too, but that's another show. All right, before we get out of here, guys, we need to get our locks and our upsets in. So, Chris, give me your lock of this week coming up.
My lock is Detroit over Cleveland. Sorry, Andy.
Oh, that's
That's a good lock. Sorry.
that's fair.
All right. Any what's your lock, Andy?
My lock of the week was I don't know why I can't find it all of a sudden. No, my lock of the week was the Rams over New York.
Oh, that was my lock of the
what are you
week.
talking about? You want me to do a different one? No. Oh wait, this is not right. I'm looking at the wrong week.
Oh, come on, man.
What's yours, Ray? What's yours?
I've got the Rams. I got the Rams to win this
Clearly
week.
not over the team that I just mentioned since
Yeah.
it wasn't even the right week, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, my lock of the week was supposed to be actually also Detroit over Cleveland, just
Okay.
a Cleveland bash. But I'll change it really quickly here. I'm going to say the Jets over Tampa Bay. I'm going to say that
Whoa.
stupid "let's eat a W" speech is going to go south.
Well, I will tell you this. The interesting thing about that is, guess who's going to be starting for Tampa Bay? Fitzpatrick.
Oh.
It'll be interesting to see how Fitzpatrick does going back to New York.
Yeah.
He'll be flying. I'll tell you one thing. Fitzpatrick's a gamer.
How awesome would it be if Fitzpatrick just redid the entire to him? Him with his big beard starts doing just mimicking the whole thing. It'd be perfect.
He's got no beard now. He's shaved clean.
Really?
Shaved clean.
Oh,
Wait till you
that's
see him.
that's
I saw him this
Come
week.
on.
That's disappointing.
All right,
voice.
upset of the week. I'm going to go first this so my pick doesn't get taken. I'm going to take the 49ers over the Giants. 49ers are finally going to get their first win of the season.
So the 0-win team beats the 1-win team.
Yeah.
Huge upset.
Huge
The
upset.
irrelevant bowl.
Jimmy Garoppolo, it'll be interesting to see. They're saying that he might not even start this year. Why would you make a trade for a second-round pick and not play a guy?
They're just being cryptic. about it.
Garoppolo's starting this
He's
week.
definitely going to play
Yeah.
at some point.
All right, what do you got as your...
Mine is going to be the Chargers over Jacksonville.
Okay.
You know how that middle of the road mush teams where
Yeah.
1 week you think they're finally legit and then they let you down. I think that's what Jacksonville is going to do to us. And
Okay.
I think the Chargers are going to beat Jacksonville.
Sounds good, Chris.
This is a big one. This is my buddy Chris Dobson. This is kind of unheard of, but I'm going with the Colts. The Colts over Pitt.
Wow.
Pittsburgh.
It would be massive, but I really love how the quarterback they picked up, Seth, is doing well. And I think that they could spread the ball around a little bit. Defense, it's a stretch. Let me tell you, it's
Yeah.
a stretch.
Well-
but I think that he's doing some good stuff there. And he pulled me off a victory in fantasy football.
I
so I
will-
owe him one.
I'll put it on my pro line upset card. I'll put it on that one.
Fair
Let's do
enough.
it.
Okay.
do it.
All right.
Dobson, don't get your heart set on this one.
Nick, before we get out of here, do you have any final thoughts for the listeners?
No, I don't.
No final thoughts. Chris,
I love how prepared he goes. He's so prepared.
so prepared.
Yeah, I just got a quick fun one here, guys. A buy or sell. My quick thoughts are I want to kind of hear what you guys think about Danny Woodhead, Josh Gordon. We didn't bring up Josh Gordon. He was reinstated. He's ready to go.
Yep.
And Andrew Luck. Buy or sell?
I would buy Danny Woodhead right now. I would refrain from buying Josh Gordon, even though I bought him in a few, and sell.
Sell on Luck.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's done for the year.
I'm interested
Yeah,
to hear.
so he's on
He's already
IR.
done for the year.
Is it for sure?
Yeah, it's
confirmed?
for sure.
Okay,
Gone.
sure.
Gone. That's why I
Okay.
was trying to figure out what the point of this was.
So he's got more about Josh Gordon. Like I saw that and I was like, let me just put a few guys that kind of can. But
Well, Gordon
do-
can't actually play until the 20th of the month, so he's got some time with the team to get reacquainted, and
Yeah.
then the first game that he can be activated on is the first week of December. So I think he does play though.
But do you buy into these are going to be impact? Like when they come back, forget about fantasy. Do you buy that they're going to be impacting? Do you think Josh is going to come back and blow it up?
No.
Look half decent?
No.
So Ray's
I don't-
selling on that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm selling all of them. I don't want any of them on my roster.
I would like
And Woodhead. No Woodhead either.
I would
huh?
like
No.
Danny Woodhead on a PPR
Yeah, me too.
fantasy league for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's it. That's all
There
I
you
got.
go. All right, Andy. Any final thoughts?
My final thought starts with a question: who is Chad Doran?
Chad Dorn.
Darn.
Who is
Chad
that?
Dorn is a guy that I referee football with.
Okay, well, congratulations, Chad Doran. He won the pick'em pool this crazy wacky week with 17 points.
Okay.
Nice.
And we'll be in touch with Chad Doran.
Well, what are we going to do? Because we've had a number of winners now. We've got a 2-4 of Moose Light
Yeah.
sitting in the basement. What are we going to do?
We're gonna figure out a contest for them to win that 2-4.
All right. Well, let's figure
last-
that out so we can announce
What it is?
what it. Let's figure out. How, are we just going to draw it out of a hat?
No, we're gonna be more creative than that, and we want to get a few more winners so that it's pit against a few more people because
Okay.
24 beers is a big prize.
All right.
It's a big prize.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Big prize.
Well, before I give my final thoughts, once again, if you're looking for a beer any night of the week, go get yourself a Moose Light. This stuff is scary good.
Scary.
Hats, t-shirts, jackets, pens, you know the drill. Go see our buddies at Doyle's Corporate Image. And lastly,
Doyle rules.
don't forget to visit my buddy's girl. I mean, if your kitchen sucks, you want to fix that sucker up, make sure you go get yourself some Done Right sauce.
I don't know where you're heading at.
This stuff is Luongo good. Luongo good. sorry.
It'll go a long way.
Go a long way.
I just want to, before we get out of here, I just want to again send out a quick shout out to all our local schools here that are heading into their provincial finals, and congratulations to all the officiating crews that got assigned for those games. Enjoy the games this week, guys. It's going to be a great week for football.
See you next one.
See you next.
She's all lit up, hair and makeup. She's